Welcome back, Bravehearts, to the premiere of the Braveheart Women's Weekly Show. Today's show is Unleash the Feminine. I'm Sharon Cusack, your host and guide for today's show, and I have three beautiful women with me that we're all part of this beautiful Braveheart Women movement, this Braveheart Women's Show. This is Sandra here on my right, and Lorraine, and beautiful Romana. And we've come here today to start our weekly live shows so that we can be here and guide you to unleash your feminine. Send your questions in via Facebook and YouTube and Rumble. And my name is Sharon Cusack, like I said. And so let's get to it. Throughout the ages, that the feminine empowerment, the feminine strength has been suppressed. We are precious. We are love. We are life. We are courage. We are compassion. And we are nurturers. We hold life within us. We are feminine creations, confident and wise. For the past 5,000 years, the feminine power has been stripped from us. And now it's time to take it back. It is time to empower ourselves and to undo the destruction as far as what ended up happening over the ages. In ancient Egypt, originally it was a matrilineal society, where it was a matriarchal, where the lineage ended up coming through the ages, and it was all to do with the matriarch, all to do with the feminine. So as queens took on marriages, then that became the king. And there was no other way around it. And like Lorraine was talking about, the indigenous.
That's right, the
right?
indigenous people, they follow the mother's bloodline.
Yeah. And when that bloodline ended up ending for whatever reason, then they created a new bloodline within the matrilineal society. And so it was about feminine empowerment. And it was about exalting within the femininity. What does unleash the feminine power mean to you, Sandra?
It's really key for me. I grew up with a lovely mother, but we just didn't jive, and so I did not like being female. I did not have a close relationship with my mother, and I wished I was a boy. I always wanted to spend time with just my dad. And anytime, I did certainly have close relationships as I was growing up with a couple of aunts and, friends' mothers themselves. But it wasn't until after my mom passed when I realized what an incredible relationship it could have been. So whatever took place as I was a child, I didn't want to be female. I felt very weak. I felt like people could harm me. I felt, I felt second class in a sense. And even my dear father, I'm going to get emotional here, whom I never doubted his love, and I almost worshipped my father. He still within himself was, a product of his generation, was that, you have to take care of a woman, and they're not physically able to pull the same weight, so they don't have the same value. And he dearly loved me, but that's the way he grew up, and it was just something that he was aware of. Throughout the years, he has certainly come to appreciate the feminine a lot more, and after I made some progress with emotional things after learning the Braveheart program, I certainly was able to go to him and say, you never really appreciated me, and I was there, and I was the one that wanted to farm, and I was the one that wanted to work beside you, and yet I was always just passed off. And he said, you have certainly shown me over the years of your power and of your validity and things like that. So that relationship was definitely healed. But I'm super glad to be here, and I'm super glad to just sit in this moment with all you out there, because a lot of women are going to feel the same way I do right now, that I'm just discovering what it means to be female. I can remember the time in my life where I was finally comfortable simply wearing flowers on my shirt, for heaven's sakes. You know, and that was a huge step at one point in my life. So yeah, I'm here and I feel super privileged to be sitting with these ladies and just to be learning and growing and just blooming as I sit here in Mexico. So it's a privilege, and I do have tears in my eyes right now, but.
And understandably so. We're sitting in a situation where we are, you know, we are trying to get back our femininity. It should never have been taken away from us.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have had to have grown up in these situations where we were trying to exalt within our femininity and be
Yeah.
okay with wearing a flower shirt
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and standing there and being a little girl rather than
Right.
being a tomboy so that you can exist within this environment.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just totally fascinating, the things that I've learned about throughout history and things that you're going to share today, and then just remembering other tidbits of things you learn about the history of the feminine. It really is an incredible, it really is an incredible way to be on this earth, to be a part of the female sex. So I'm so excited to learn along with probably lots of you out there.
Yeah, when you talk about history and you talk about ancient Egypt and these matrilineal societies, you know, ancient Egypt fell because it moved from a matriarchal society to a patriarchal society. And that is when it started its decline, because then there was no longer the emphasis on the nurturing and the compassion and the intuitive and all of those qualities that a femininity brings to the table. I mean, we are the source of life. We harbor life within inside of us, and that life then ends up allowing other people to live in their most nurturing way and compassionate way. And so when these ancient societies moved away, like the indigenous people and the Egyptian people, when they moved away from this beautiful, compassionate, nurturing atmosphere that was all about exalting in the fact that you can have children and exalting in the fact that you're connected to nature, Mother's nature. And that was what created the strength within the communities. And then when it moved into this ego-based world where the man needed to feel like they were empowered within themselves, so then it just started that digression of the femininity. What do you think, Lorraine?
Yeah, I remember growing up, I come from a family of 8 children, 4 boys and 4 girls. And I remember the way my dad treated the boys and the way he treated the girls. We were definitely second class.
Wow.
But I did not ever want to be a boy. You know, so it was a little bit different than
Absolutely.
Sandra. But I enjoyed being a girl. But I saw us getting squashed down. And you can't do that. That's not for you. You're not a boy. You know?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was, my dad was a typical French Catholic. And there, you know, there was no real family lineage coming from us. We're going to get married with a different name, so we don't need anything.
Wow.
Yeah, of course. Right. That's
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Crazy.
So then that whole vein of what goes on within the family dynamics.
Yeah, definitely second class. That's what
Yeah.
I felt.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I know that I was also from a family of 8. I was the youngest, and 6 brothers and 1 sister. And you know, we never talked about feelings at the dinner table, because for me it was about when I show that vulnerability with all of this such strong feminine or strong masculine power that was emitted with all the testosterone. It actually, to me, was a sign of weakness. So I didn't show those vulnerabilities, because it was actually twisted and turned and actually used against me. And so
Wow.
then I learned to be a very good tomboy, and you know, I didn't have the brawn to maneuver that environment, but I used my brains and my fight and flight.
We get that honed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was more like survival. You know, people talk about being raised in these families. Like, I think I just more or less just survived. And
Exactly.
yes, so it didn't exalt in pretty dresses and I didn't play with Barbies too much and dolls and things like that. It was mostly trucks and Tonka trucks and going out there and building things. So it wasn't about exalting the femininity. Yeah, it's yeah, interesting
Maybe because
dynamics.
There was more brothers.
Yeah.
I only had 4.
Yeah.
Family lineage.
A little bit of technical stuff going on here, but
Well,
we'll just hang in. There
Yeah,
we
just
go.
hang on. This is our premiere show, so we're premiering all of our different aspects associated with it. So just hang on, and we apologize for being a little bit late. It's just a matter of getting everything in sync, and we're the Braveheart women, so we go with
roll.
the flow.
You
We
bet.
roll with it,
And we breathe.
Only way
and we
you can do
create.
it.
Exactly. And we have this wonderful team here that's really working diligently for us, so we're really appreciative of it. So how about you, Romana? What does unleashing the feminine mean to you?
Well, it's quite interesting because my life of growing up is completely different to all three of you. I'm an only child. My mum and dad separated when I was very young, thank goodness. My mother was absolutely adorable, still is. She's always done whatever she could for me to give me the confidence that I needed, especially because she was on her own and she had to do businesses, but she did everything on her own with my grandparents' help. So I'd always run over their place if mum wasn't home in time for dinner. They'd cook me dinner and then I'd just run back home. So, and she did try to get me to do some of the girly things, like I remember she tried to get me to do ballet and she bought me the whole thing and I was 8 and it was hilarious. And I put it on and I remember the photo, like just got my hair and everything and with the little tutu thing and I'm like, oh my God, I said, I don't like this. Anyway, I did one class and I went, Mum, it's not, I don't like this at all. I'm not a girly girl, never have been. I'm a tomboy. I did four-wheel drive racing extreme racing for, 20 odd years. I am not into this. Anyway, she said, oh, well, what would you like to do? I did judo. And then she got me this punsy bike, a push bike with flowers and everything on the basket. Again, same age, as about 8 years old. And I went, Mum, this is embarrassing. I want a good bike. I got a BMX. So there you go. Completely different lifestyle. Unleashing the feminine, that was my choice. Mum, I loved still wearing dresses if I went out or, I liked going out with boys. I mean, that was just a normal thing as a girl. So I didn't have anywhere near the kind of lifestyles that you had. It's really interesting listening to everybody's different upbringings. It's quite phenomenal to hear where everybody comes from somewhere completely different. And I find that absolutely fascinating. And the journeys that all the different people take, men and women, but especially women who have been downtrodden and not given that confidence, where I was always given the confidence. My mother was phenomenal with that.
So can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So I definitely felt like being feminine was weak, and you definitely lived a life of a tomboy, but did you feel comfortable being a female?
Absolutely.
Did you, you felt good wearing nice clothing
Absolutely.
that showed off your body?
I loved, and absolutely.
Yeah.
I've never had a problem with that.
Right.
And luckily with my marriage to my husband of 35 years, which I now obviously don't have, but I remember him saying when we were very young, because we met 16 and 17, and his mother decided that she wanted to tell me that, oh, well, you could get a boob job if you like and get your thighs liposucked, because I had what kids at school would call thunder thighs, even though I was always thin. And my husband stood up, it was early 20s we were, and he stood up and he said to his mum, don't you ever say that again. She is perfect the way that she is. I never want her to touch her body in that way whatsoever. And from that day, I always knew that he didn't care about that sort of thing, but it was really great that he literally bounced out of that chair while he was reading the paper and slammed that paper down and said to his mum, no, that's not going to happen. She doesn't need to do that. And I've never, ever considered anything like that before.
Nice.
So, yeah, it's great.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes, and just to let everybody know that you could we are taking questions via Facebook and Rumble and Bitchute, I believe, are the different platforms that we're actually taking questions. So we would honor any question that any of our audience would like to ask us, and we would be more than happy. So when we're talking about the male-dominated period and basically what ended up happening to femininity, there is many of the goddesses of the priest, like the temples of the priestess, were throughout the ages, and those priestess temples were honoring temples for young women that were going through the rite of passage as they were moving into womanhood. And the crones, which were the elderly, the wise women, would gather within these beautiful temples. And the priestesses would come in, and they would have these wonderful ceremonies because it was exalted that in regards to the divine femininity. Because we actually carry something referred to as the sacred womb within the priestess lineage. And the sacred womb is where life begins, and that is where the spark begins of life. And we are the only creatures on earth, other than in the animal kingdom, that the feminine is who carries life. And so that was exalted within these beautiful temples. And so the last so this whole male-dominated suppression of the femininity, the last temple of the goddesses was destroyed in about the 1300s. And so it was also an area when a woman was pregnant that everybody gathered, and it became this beautiful ceremony of bringing life into the world, because it was really a beautiful sacred event. And
even when girls would get their period,
yes,
too, it was celebrated.
yes,
I mean, I remember in school, the boys went to that class and the girls went to that class, and we were told all about it, and, well, really, there was no love there. It was,
Yeah.
and it wasn't something that your parents did. It was the school that was taking care of it. So
Yeah.
they didn't have any emotion with it, and no celebration at all. It was kind of like, oh my gosh, I don't want that. I don't want to go through that.
Oh yeah, it became sort of like a dirty thing, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, so then it was something to be embarrassed about.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Instead of honoring the fact that you are now moving into this beautiful
And
place of
celebrating it.
becoming a woman.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. So we
Yeah.
kind of felt icky.
yeah. I love being a woman, but it's not easy to be a woman in the times that we're in, as far as what ended up happening, as far as the suppression goes. I mean, we shouldn't, males don't have to try to get back their manhood, but we are trying to get back our femininity, and that is really an unjust society that ended up doing this.
Yeah.
And it was also, that's when this transgression ended up happening with this religious movement, and Christianity came into play, and all of these aspects associated with witch burning. Now, a woman that was a healer that was exalted within ancient communities was now considered to be a witch, and then they were targeted and they were thrown up on a stake and burned.
Crazy.
I mean, how could you imagine that a wonderful human being that wants to heal these people and help nurture them back to have a perfect day?
And then even the women, if I was envious of something that you had and
Yes.
I'm showing it, well, you could call me a witch
Yeah.
for whatever reason,
Yeah.
and get your story backed up, and I'd be burning.
Oh yeah, totally. And that's what ended up happening. This whole jealousy thing, or if I had a man and he took a look at you because you walked by and you felt that, then all of a sudden I could just start passing a rumor around that you were a witch, and next thing you know, you're up there being burnt at the stake.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can see in today's age what's going on around the world, how easily that can happen, huh?
Yes, absolutely.
Horrific.
Yeah. And so women were discredited instead of being honored. And the violence began against the woman, which I believe was really sparked with the witch burning. Yeah. And so then it seemed like it was okay to be violent against women. It was okay to now discourage the femininity, and so to hide. And in certain areas, women disguise themselves as men so they could actually move through society in a safe way. So part of this whole movement with this ego declared against the men or against the women is that there was the women's suffrage movement, which was happened in the Victorian era, which women were actually trying to get back their rights as women and to actually be able to vote. And so not until July 2nd, 1928, were women actually allowed to vote. Can
Not
you
that long
imagine?
ago.
Can you imagine that you weren't even honored to even be able to make a decision as to who you were going to have guide your community? That you weren't even allowed that? Like how horrible is that? And bank accounts. A woman wasn't even allowed to open up a bank account until 1975, and it had to be a joint account. You couldn't open up a single account. It couldn't be your own account, not until in the 80s that a woman was able to actually open up their own bank account.
I did not know that.
That's, yes, absolutely. So that, at that time, throughout that ages where the dark patriarchal time started coming through, is that the feminine and the masculine balance was completely destroyed because of ego and because of power and because of whatever was going on there. And then, of course, then it moved into actually starting to do surgeries on women, because now, now we can now start cutting pieces out because you have issues with your periods, or you have issues here, or you can't have a baby because you're so full of anxiousness because you can't be heard within your own household, and suppressed, or violence that's being created, whether it was physical, emotional, or spiritual abuse.
And even the women, in the 50s, complaining about mood swings, they got put into an insane asylum.
Yeah.
That's how they dealt with it.
Yeah.
Excuse me, maybe I've got my hormones not working so good.
Yeah.
Well, even just recently,
Or
my
maybe I'm
husband.
hooked on sugar.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because I have so much guilt and shame, so I needed to eat a bunch of sugar so I can
Exactly.
feel better about myself and gorge myself because I'm not being heard.
Well, my
Exactly.
husband said I needed to get mental help.
Oh,
Before I came here. Oh, Romana, no, you're sick in the head. You need mental help. Really,
well,
really.
well, that's evidence of someone being very afraid.
Yes.
So I need to give you a pretty strong label because I don't want to start changing the way I think. So I'm just going to give you a big label, and then now you have to be quiet.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's just a measurement of someone else's personal fear.
Yeah.
So I've had
It's
to
interesting.
got the privilege of talking to several ladies on the phone, and hey, for whatever reason, my friends are talking to me this or that, and I said, just try to take a step back from that and try to view them as simply being afraid.
Yeah.
And so people have to now throw labels on you,
Yeah.
and just to try to connect back to that compassion
Yeah.
instead of being stuck in those hurt feelings.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a wild ride.
It sure is.
Yeah.
Well, and now this show is about unleashing the feminine. It's about understanding that we can only know where we're going when we know where we came from.
Yep.
And so when we know where we came from, then we can actually look at that and say, you know what? I am going to, for my daughter and my future generations, because I have a granddaughter, is I'm going to teach her to unconditionally love herself and to rise up and empower her femininity. It's okay. It's all good. It's wonderful. These are all wonderful aspects of being you and being the beautiful you.
Yep.
Looking in the mirror and saying, we start very young adulterating our children. And I know that when I first was introduced to Daryl Wolf's protocols, and I went back home, and my granddaughter was about 2 at the time. And and so I realized that, everybody in the house was like, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. And it was like, okay, just a second here. There's something not quite right about all these I love yous coming from everywhere else. And so then I took her into the bathroom, and I looked in the mirror, and I said to her, honey, I said, Grammy looks in the mirror and she says, I love you, Sharon. And so I want you to look in the mirror and say, I love you, Maria. Because the most important person to love is you. And of course, Mommy loves you, and Daddy loves you, and Grandma loves you, and Grammy loves you, and Nana loves you, and all these people love you, which is absolutely awesome because you have love inside of you, so then you can now emit the love that comes out of others. But until you can love yourself, then that's really not how you can actually instill love within each other. So I said the most important person to love is you. That's first and foremost, before mommy and before daddy and before Grammy, before everybody. And so now when I talk to her from afar, because up there in Canada, I'm here in Ixtapa, Mexico, and I'll say to her, so who's the most important person to love? And she'll say, me. And and this is part of it. If she can love herself, well, then she can embrace her femininity, and she can embrace who she is as the little individual that she is.
Yeah.
And could you imagine the change in our generations when those little girls stand up to their beauty and their compassion and their ability to nurture life?
Absolutely awesome.
And you have a little granddaughter that was just born.
I do.
Yes.
I do, and I was fortunate enough to be there for the birth. And what an experience. What an experience. Oh my gosh. It was my daughter's best friend that was the midwife.
Oh,
And-
beautiful.
And she allowed her older daughter, who was 16 and had a birthday the day before, and to actually catch the baby as she came out.
Wow.
And I remember talking to one of her sons, the youngest one. He's 13. And I remember talking to him when I got to the house, and he said, Grandma, he said, I don't know if I can be a big brother. And, I gave him some encouragement, and then his older brother took him inside and said, of course you're going to be a good brother, a good big brother. And then when after my daughter had the baby and everything was cleaned up, because she had the baby in her house, she called the boys to come up. And she's got 3 sons and 1 daughter, other than the new baby. And when Hakeem, the 13-year-old, got in, he went down on his knees on the side of the bed and he was sobbing.
Oh,
This
beautiful.
is so great.
Beautiful.
And I thought, wow, but we need to connect to that
Yeah.
feeling.
Yes.
I was so proud of him,
Beautiful.
for expressing what he needed to express and feeling it.
Beautiful.
And it was a great opportunity, a great family thing. It's a crystal memory for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Crystal memory. That's a beautiful way of putting it.
Yeah.
And I mean, what was experienced there is that an embracing of the entire process of childbirth.
Yeah,
You
the whole
know,
family then.
That's right, exactly. You know how not too many years ago it was like, okay, you stay out here, and we just have her in this room, and she pushes this child into the world, and then dad can come in and take a look, and then off he goes to work, and you lie in this hospital bed for what, 10 days or something, like as if you really have been destroyed,
Yeah.
and instead of celebrated.
Even her husband was right there in the bed with her, helping her the whole way. The whole
Beautiful.
way.
Beautiful.
So they are, I look at them and I think, wow, she's got it together.
Yeah. Nice.
Way more ahead than what I was at her age.
The word that came to my mind when each of you shared those stories was that point of authenticity, right? Because I remember you telling us that story. I went home and all I could hear was all these casual I love yous everywhere, right? And so when you took your little granddaughter into the mirror and showed her the Braveheart work, that was connecting with that authenticity in that moment of I love you, right? So you made the I love yous with everyone else more authentic, but of course you first showed her the connection with herself, right? And I remember things in our house, and we had a great growing up, but it was a little I don't know, a little bit standoffish. It was one technical hug a day, one technical kiss on the cheek a day, and it was a good home, but there wasn't that passion, that wasn't that, I love you, you're my family, I'm your daughter, or you're my daughter, I'm gonna protect you, right? So
It lacked the authenticity.
it lacked that authenticity,
Yeah.
and that's all my
Yeah.
mom and dad knew,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
I think partly growing up on the prairies, it's it's harsh winters, and people, there was harsh realities to make sure you had your family fed, and so you just sort of lose some of those emotional touches.
Yeah.
So the more we can affect young people and make sure that she has that ability to authentically touch with that feeling, first with herself and then share with other people. and then helping the little 13-year-old grandson, just embrace how he feels. And he felt so comfortable in that moment. He was on his knees saying, wow, how incredible is this,
Yeah.
right? So
And that's the way it
those
should
are
be.
incredible
Should be.
moments. Yeah.
Should be.
I don't like how, and I've never even had children myself, so I've got no experience whatsoever in that field, or had brothers and sisters, but I find it phenomenal in a bad way that you're stuck in a hospital room
Yeah.
and made to, oh no, it's got to be hidden. I've never thought that's right in my head. I could never tell you why. I know now why, because I know what it's like to connect to truth and to our divine. But that really,
Absolutely.
I always wondered why.
Yeah.
Now we know why.
And when we talk about childbirth and the sacred womb is the healing, is the nurturing, is where we have the spark of life. And so with that, we can embrace those wonderful. It really is about taking sensuality and spirituality and then blending them and not having them separated. So often we get confused with sensuality as being sexuality, and it doesn't have to be about sex. It has to be about getting connected to the authentic self, like you were talking about, and getting connected to your own unification within those two realms. I mean, it's like, oh, the dirty little girl thing. Oh, you can't touch yourself. Oh, you get caught. And I've talked to women here that have come for the courses. I mean, they got caught touching themselves by their parents. And so then that has, and these women are in their 50s or even in their 60s. And so it's created such blockages within their pelvic region, such blockages within their sensuality, such blockages within their own creative selves, because there's something that they've found that was kind of dirty about their own body. I mean, if you can't touch your own body, whose body can you touch? Really? It really is about the beauty and about the healing of self, and all of these layers that we start peeling away as we start opening up our pelvis region and opening up who we truly are.
And it's about raising our frequency,
Yes.
our vibration.
Yeah.
Right? The more that we can
Yeah.
open up, the higher that vibration goes.
Yeah.
The happier we are, the more connected we are.
Yeah.
Instead of being disconnected.
Yeah.
You look at the young kids now, they're walking down the street, they look like their boyfriend and girlfriend, but they're both watching their phones.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Where's the communication?
Yeah.
I was so lucky with my mother with all that sort of thing, and she was very open when it came to the periods, the sex, the whole thing. And my mum, when Luke and I first got together, when we were 16 and 17, she gave us, because she knew we were in love. Like, I'd been with other boyfriends, but she knew that this was it. So she bought us a gift, and the book was called The Joy of Sex. And she said, there you go, darling. Anything else you need to know? You know I'm there. But I think you'll enjoy this book because it will teach you a lot of things.
Yeah.
So it was, so my mum was is fantastic. So
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I know in my world it was like all about the Catholicism. And it was like I mentioned the word, sex to my mom, and she just plugged her ears and said, I don't want to hear it.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, I can't
and
even
I was married.
imagine that.
And I was married, and I tried to have a conversation about something, and I said the word, and she was just like, she plugged her ears, and she says, I don't want to hear it.
Oh my goodness.
Don't say that word. And she'd had 8 kids.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, she did not want to hear it. So it was like, okay. But you know what? It's just what she was adulterated with in her world. I mean, who knows? I mean, I've never had conversations like that with her in regards to, she's 95 years old, soon to be 96. And I've never had a conversation with her about that because I can't even bring up the word. So how am I going to have these conversations about what happened in her life, right?
Wow.
You
That's
know?
phenomenal.
And so when when we're talking about vibration, which was really good that you brought it up, because that's what this is all about. I mean, we're electromagnetic energy light beings. And so when we can vibrate at high levels, well, then we can vibrate and encourage other people to vibrate. And so right now, my daughter is about 2.5 months pregnant, and I said to her that the little spirit being that's now inside of her growing, it's picking up on vibrations. So you better make sure that whatever emotional state that you're in and whatever you're exposing her to environmentally, that all of that is all about good vibrations, because that's what it's about. And so when you can really instill that in from the time of in vitro, and then you can really move that into, childhood and into teenagehood and into adulthood, and just really recognize that that's where it all starts from. All the disease in our body starts from that vibration of low frequency, which has to do with our emotions.
Yeah, because
And
the
so,
thought
yes,
creates emotion.
Yes.
It creates dis-ease.
that's right, exactly. And that's where it's all like energy in motion. E equals MC squared. It's about the fact, and so often the reason that we have all these issues, feminine so-called issues, is because the fact that we are operating at a negative frequency, and so the body's dripping adrenaline, histamine, or cortisol.
Exactly.
So we want to have the image as being a positive image, so that then we can end up dripping dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, or endorphins.
And just be more comfortable in our own bodies.
Yeah. Yes. And no wonder we have so many issues in our tissues, because they want to start pulling this out and chopping this out, and cysts and fibroids and all these various issues that go on, and we have a baby that won't come out of us because, what's the vibrational load that's going on outside of the womb? That baby probably listened to people not have a very good interactions, and so it was negative, and the baby's going like, I kind of like it in here because I don't want to go out there. And so then they have a hard time going out there. And so then next thing you know, opening up the mama's womb, and out in the life, the baby comes kicking and screaming and kind of said, I don't know if I really want to be here. And then the mother has all these other issues associated with blockages and all the rest of it that goes along with all those surgeries.
I was born premature and an emergency delivery. And when I was delivered, I had black hands and black feet because I had pulled away from the placenta.
Oh, wow.
Thank God my mom knew what things
Wow.
feel like.
Wow.
And so I
Wow.
was born premature. And in the nick of time.
Mm.
Yeah.
So I wonder if we should...
But my thought about that when you
Yes.
were talking was I was opting out. I
Mm.
would say there was something I heard or something I felt that really did not resonate.
Mm-hmm.
And I was born 10.5 months after my sister in the same year.
Mm.
We were Irish twins.
You are Irish twins.
So another stress on the finances.
Mm. It's funny, there's Irish twins in my family too. I have 2 brothers that are 11 months apart to the day.
Aha.
Wow.
To the day. One was born December the 6th, and the next one was born November the 6th. And then I was born like 6 years later on November the 6th. So I was like,
Wow.
whatever I was called. I
A
was
birthday
sick.
present.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Exactly. So a huge part of moving into this arena of authentically loving yourself is to work on the Braveheart 12 loving steps. Daryl has created so many wonderful protocols, and it's in the library. There's courses that can be taken, and this course right now, he's got a coupon code. So to start with that emotional component, and it's Braveheart free. And so if you go to the training, the online training, you can start working these steps, really profound steps, and change your life and start taking back your empowerment as being your authentic self, finding your authentic self. I do perfect day consults, and I talk to women and I say, okay, just start off with a little baby step. Just look in the mirror and say, I love you. And they're like, well, I don't, I'm not too sure if I can do that, because that feels really uncomfortable, because they've never truly looked 6 inches into their eyes. And I can understand it. It felt pretty weird for me the first time.
Me too.
And I'm sure many of us can say that that's what happened for you too as well.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And then just work, not work, just honor yourself in that respectful place where you can really just look in that mirror and then you just like, you know what? You got it, man.
And
You
really-
got it.
really
And you're
connect.
in, right?
Really connect to that person that you're seeing in the mirror. That is the most precious thing that we've got.
Mm-hmm.
And most of us ignore. We're just on ignore. We're not coming back to the body.
That's right.
You know,
Connect
and-
to self.
Yeah.
Connect to
And that's
self.
self-love.
Yeah.
And you're eyeball to eyeball. You're not standing back at a full view of yourself and they'll just get you into, oh, my thunder thighs, my this, my that. You are almost nose to nose with that mirror. And you are, looking deeply into your eyes. And if you're going to, let me say that again, you're going to feel a power or just maybe your own vibe, whatever it is.
Emotion.
If you've never done this before, you're going to feel a connection, right? You're going to be eyeball to eyeball and just breathe.
Mm-hmm.
We just have to get through these first couple of times and you'll feel a difference. I got to a point where it's like the best part of my day was just sitting on the countertop in the bathroom and just I wasn't even saying the oath a lot of times, because you remember the oath and you say that, and you definitely got to connect with all those 5 words: trust, honor, respect, protect, forgive, and totally love myself, right? And so lots of times I just got to a point where I just loved sitting in the mirror, and I just would just sit there and look at each other, look at myself, and just fall in love
Yep.
with that time in the mirror. It was wonderful.
And smile. And the mirror is actually a delayed reflection of your energy that you're actually reflecting back. So when you look in the mirror, it's actually a delayed reflection of your energy that's
Interesting.
coming back. And so when we can look at ourselves and really authentically and love ourselves first and foremost, then we're actually reflecting back the energy of love and honor and respect, and we're bringing it back into ourselves. So how beautiful is that?
Yeah.
And you might find yourself that you might stumble over a couple of these 5 key words in here, and that's okay, right? Like you said, it might be a bit bumpy for the first little while, and that's going to be totally okay. Do take note of which one of these words that you're struggling over, or you just think you happen to forget. That means something, and maybe just spend some time next time, or if you feel like you're stumbling over it, just sit in it. Just look at yourself in the mirror and go, respect. I'm just going to feel respect for myself right now, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, we don't really have to go down the path that psychology takes us, because that will simply take you back into your story. And to be quite honest, once we perfect steps 1 and 2 of unconditionally loving yourself and then forgiving yourself, letting yourself off the hook, and then you can get into steps 11 where you review all the things that happened in your life. All these things and all these stories just kind of fall by the wayside. What will be left was maybe those big moments, maybe those trauma moments. And again, you use these basic steps to know that trauma memory inside and out. And I promise you, as soon as you know that trauma inside and out in every which way you can turn around in that trauma moment, no matter what the thought was, as soon as you can know it all, you can leave it by the side of the road. So I'm super grateful to be in this moment in time, just to be able to teach such a powerful event. Just little old me with no accreditations, no letters or initials behind my name. I can come and participate and empower other women. So,
And you have the initial of empowerment. and the 4 of us sitting here are actually consultants for Daryl Wolf. And you can find us and you can book a perfect day consult with us, and you can read more about us and give yourself back that opportunity to really take charge and to find that perfect day, both emotionally, physically, spiritually, and mentally. I mean, it's all the Lees that we're joined together. We're connecting the dots so that then you can have the best day ever. And it's so important.
And the more you drag in, pick up and bring in lovingly. Sometimes it feels like dragging. The more you can bring back in and
Yeah.
connect to with the four pillars,
Yeah,
the higher the vibration goes.
yeah. Yeah.
Like sometimes just eating raw fruits and vegetables is going to, well, it will. It's going to raise my vibration.
Yeah.
And maybe that's where I'm at today.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to pick things that, I'm going to look at my food and decide, is that something that's bringing my energy up? Or is that something that's taking my energy away?
Mhm.
I mean, that's the way I look at my food now. Is it raising my vibration or bringing it down?
Yeah.
And I have no problem choosing the right thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Because digestion takes up about 75% of our energy.
Yeah.
So if we're digesting things that have no energy, well, then we're using 75% of our energy, and then we're actually not getting a lot of energy to try to break that down. So we're at like quite a deficit by the time that goes through our 33 feet of digestive tract.
Our body has to
Yeah.
borrow
Yeah.
minerals from the bones and teeth
Yeah.
to be able to process
Yeah.
anything that's processed.
Yeah.
Hence why 99% of the planet is sick, because we've been all taught to eat the wrong thing.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's not our fault, but now people like ourselves know that, and we are teaching people through the Perfect Day consultations how to get their health and how to be well and live the lifestyle we were designed to. And remembering too, one of the biggest questions that people have in the way of digestion through all the consultations I do, oh no, but I've been told that we need to eat meat. Okay, one, our bodies are not designed to eat meat. A lion's body is, but not a human. And how can anything that's dead be good for anything? It's got no frequency. It doesn't exist.
And
It's
then we
dead.
cook it.
Yeah, like how can anybody think? And I used to eat meat all the time, 3 times a day. And then the eating 5 times a day. No wonder your body doesn't heal, because it's just fighting digestive system the whole time.
Using all the energy to digest.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
it's taking too long for it
Exactly.
to digest too.
And then it gets stuck.
And it starts to putrefy.
Yes.
Yes.
Jeez, and it just goes on, and then we have 92% of the planet with 3 or more immune disorders. Funny that. I wonder why. So the medical system clearly doesn't work. Otherwise, we wouldn't have 99% of the planet sick in some way, shape, or form.
Yep, we've been adulterated, and women more than, I mean, the majority. I mean, there's the top 3 surgeries that are done on women: myomectomies, hysterectomies, cesarean sections. I mean, you know, it's just keep cutting, and then with all the you know, the cosmetic surgeries, because we don't like what we see, because we haven't honored what we are as far as, you know, what we like, because the propaganda that goes on, or the male that we have within our lives wants somebody with a bigger this, a smaller that, a prettier this, or a pointier that, whatever it has.
Pointier that.
I mean, yeah, exactly. So then we're just inundated, and all these just create blockages. So how do we actually go with the flow when our body's not even flowing? So you'd be like, oh yeah, just go with the flow. Well, no, I can't go with the flow because I'm all like stuck.
All up in knots.
Yeah. So we're going to be doing upcoming shows for the Braveheart women. We're going to be doing this every week, every Thursday. And
At 12 o'clock usually.
at 12 o'clock, yes. Just we're a little
we get
delayed
our
today,
idea.
but you know what? It's all good.
Yeah.
And so the upcoming Braveheart Women's shows are March the 3rd, which is next week, and it's called From Russia with Love. And it is, we're gonna bring the Russian girls in. And they're actually here on a course, beautiful people, Nadia and Irene, I believe it is. And so it's going to be pain-free pelvis and built for pleasure. But it's built for our pleasure, our pelvis region. So we're going to pleasure ourselves. This isn't about pleasuring anybody else. And so on March the 10th, our title is the puffball syndrome, which ends up happening to individuals that are so inflamed that the body has to retain every ounce of fluid that it possibly can, water in particular, to buffer down that inflammation. And then there's a New World Health Q&A every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Times. And March the 11th, people from the Great Reset we'll have an activation night, and that's from 5 to 10 p.m. CST. So now with all these uncensored platforms that we will be, we'll have the show up, which will be on the Rumble, Bitchute, and Odyssey. That information will be on the screen, Brighteon. Well, and upcoming courses, and then what I'll do is after I announce all of this, then we can then open up the platform to answer any questions that you might have out there. So please send them in. So upcoming courses. Right now we're holding a course that's going to be ending on February the 27th. We're just in the Wolf non-surgical portion of it. It started on February the 5th. And the next New World Practitioner certification courses will be starting, the Whole Life Coach will be starting on March the 5th, and that will run until the 13th. And then the Wolf non-surgical will start, there'll be a few-day break on March the 16th, and that will run till the 27th. And this will be here in Ixtapa, Mexico, at the Ixtapa World Healing and Training Center. Then we'll be offering another New World Practitioner course starting in April, which the Whole Life Coach will start on April the 30th, and that will run till May the 8th. And then the Wolf Non-Surgical will be starting on May the 11th and will be running to May the 22nd, and that's also here at the World Healing and Training Center at the Ixtapa Palace. So how would we open up for some questions? Is there some questions?
Are we able to see the questions?
Can we
from
see the
live?
questions?
Maybe
I guess
not.
we'll just give her, no?
That's okay.
Okay.
That's just fine
We
today.
can't. Okay?
Well,
So-
we do a summary each and then.
Yeah, and then
hit
we'll
them
finish
again.
off with the, what's that? We can do the
Okay.
questions after the show?
Okay, we'll answer the questions after the show's over.
Okay,
Yes.
so that's what we'll do. Any questions that have been sent in, since we're just dealing with some technical, we're just moving through this technical environment that we have,
Yeah.
that we will answer the questions after the show, and then we'll put them up on the platforms Rumble, Bitchute, Odyssey, and Brighteon. And so join us on Zoom the next time. We'll have a meeting ID for the next program that we're running, the next live, which will be March the 3rd from Russia with Love. And do you want to say anything in closing before we finish off with the beautiful Braveheart oath? Does anybody want to mention anything?
Well, you know, I think it's really slowing down. We're caught up on that hamster wheel of life, and we just keep going and going and going. And we're helping our kids, we're helping our husband, we're getting groceries, we're making meals, we're doing all that, and we've got to slow down. So breathing is good.
Mm-hmm.
If you can just come back to your breath and you do that 6 seconds in, 7 seconds out, because it only takes 2 breaths to bring the body back to the parasympathetic nervous system, if you do it right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we don't need a lot of time.
Mm.
We can even just spend, half a minute, 5 minutes every couple hours. Because most of us are running in the sympathetic nervous system, which is our fight or flight, and we don't get anywhere with that. We're not digesting, we're not eliminating, we've got brain fog, we're not sleeping. How could you connect with anything when you're like that? You can't. You have to slow down. So use your breath.
Yeah,
Excellent.
yeah.
For sure.
Romana, any comments?
Any comments in closing?
No, I'm very happy with how this first show has gone. We're going to find our feet, and it's just I'm just totally bewildered and in a good way, like just so happy that I've come here and found a life that's just so phenomenal. I could never have dreamed how amazing this is. The best thing I've ever done in my life. And not saying that I didn't have a great life before at all. I did. But what I'm saying is, who'd have thought I'd have come here 6 months ago and be where I am today? I love teaching people how to heal because I did it. And I want to do it furthermore for the children that aren't even born yet. And that's why femininity and all these things that we're here to do as Braveheart women, that's the whole point. The children that haven't even been born yet.
Yeah, I again just feel very excited to be on this journey with everybody, from every point of view. It is so incredible. And so I'm just excited to be a part of this and to, just imagine where we'll be, and very excited about To Rush It With Love and all the information that they've got to share with us. And just excited to be here with you ladies, and excited to be here with all you ladies out there too.
Yes, and the only true place of healing, when Lorraine was mentioning about the fight, flight, and freeze mode, which is our sympathetic system, the only true place of healing is when we can come to this moment, center ourselves. And when we move into these protocols where we're now loving ourselves unconditionally first and foremost, so often people can think, oh, well, that's just being self-centered. No, we're centering in self, because our bodies need to heal, our spirits need to heal, our souls need to heal. And so when we can center ourselves and don't worry about what goes on in that outside world, mind your own business. Take charge of your health in the regards to becoming that leader within yourself, that leader within your family. And what we're doing here at the Ixtapa Healing and Training Center is that's what we're doing. We're creating leaders. And Daryl has created this beautiful, beautiful system of protocols and non-surgical and perfect day guidelines and all of these wonderful opportunities for somebody that can truly take their power of healing back. And then you become a leader within your family, within your community, within yourself. And so we aren't healing anybody, we are encouraging people to heal. And when I do the Perfect Day consults and I listen to these individuals and recognize that now they've decided to honor themselves, and that's a big thing. It's a big thing to decide that you're going to honor yourself and spend that $150. But it's $150, and then you have lifetime support from the individual that has done the consulting. And so that support is just a support system. And we've had so many beautiful feedback from, I had a woman that, in her 80s and sent back a message to me, and she's doing the mirror work, and she's lost like 20 pounds, and she wants to come down here and take the courses.
Amazing.
It's just amazing. And, and it's just like, wow, it's just like, you've got this, girl. And so for me, it's like this 35-year journey of healing myself and my passion for the human body and my love for guidance and all of this. It's such an honor to sit here with these beautiful women, and it's such an honor to be part of this wonderful healing center and the training center. And we encourage you to go to these various websites. So the braveheartnation.com, the newworldpractitioner.com, learn about what it is that Daryl Wolf has put together, and find out about how you can come down here if you so desire. You could take courses, you could find out everything. You can find out everything about the accommodation, all, even places that you can eat, how you can travel down here. It's beautiful. This is such a beautiful community. And it's a community on this property. It's all about unconditional love. And take that power and be able to center yourself and be able to work within that region of getting this and having that moment to really flourish.
2 more resources, docofdetox.com, and then check the top for library. So go into the library, all you need is your name, your email address, and create a password. And then you've got access to a library that'll take hours and hours and hours to go through. You'll find the 12 loving steps there. You'll find perfect day, you'll find everything in there.
And you will find the Healthy to 100, which is Daryl's flagship book. That's his very first. That's where this all started. And it's an amazing book. Ultimate Guide to Bulletproofing Your Body. It's amazing. It's just a wonderful library, and it's what, there's like 24 books in there or something?
Yeah. The other resource is back on that main webpage, docofdetox.com, and then check the link that says online courses. So you can get into the Braveheart Emotional Masterclass there, which is what Sharon mentioned with the Braveheart Free. And so that's Braveheart, Free. is the free code. And so as long as that price turns into 0.00, you know you've put the correct code in, and you know that you're going to get free access. The other online course in there is the A to Z Master Wellness. And so they go through your body from the top of your head to the tip of your toes, and list what the traditional medical system says it would be to remedy those areas. Dr. Darrell Wolf and his team explain what they would do for those different areas. So those 2 online courses plus the library are excellent resources for just plain old information.
Excellent. And join us next week, March the 3rd at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time for our show From Russia with Love, and learn about how we can unleash the sensuality within our pelvic area. And we have 2 beautiful women that teach these protocols, and it's just a fabulous, fabulous way of honoring that sacred womanhood that we have. And so let's finish off today with the Braveheart oath. Okay, everybody?
Mm-hmm.
I am love. I am healed. I am Braveheart. Today and every day, from the moment I rise until I gently close my eyes, I will trust, honor, respect, protect, forgive, and totally love myself, first and foremost, before anyone or anything else. So help me God. Because I am, I can, I am healed, I am Braveheart. God bless everyone. Take back your power to heal. God bless you, beautiful, beautiful Braveheart women. And remember, 3, 2, 1, we got this. Woohoo! Thank you for joining us. See you next
guys.
week.
Bye.
Bye.
You know, it's not good enough to have the most powerful courses, treatments, and training. We want to deliver to you the adventure of a lifetime that's going to last a lifetime. And I'm going to take you on a little adventure right now and show you what we are going to deliver. What are we going to deliver? We are going to deliver the authentic you, the real you, the genius inside. How would you like to become not just the master of your mind, but the master of your body, the master of your life? You know what? The most important world is your world, and we're about to show you how to create it.
Found Dr. Wolf and all his positivity and trying to reshape our way of thinking and help me be a better person, a better mom, better wife. I'm glad I found him in person in Ixtapa, Mexico.
Never limit yourself to beautiful, because that's what you are. Take a look at this beautiful place. We all deserve beauty in our life. You need to create a new program that is unlimited when it comes to things that are beautiful, things that make you happy, things that make you shine, things that make you feel excited. Let's get excited.
This guy's got something really interesting to say and he's sharing it really openly and just really not caring what other people think, and I just thought that was really empowering.
What I've learned in my life is this: to be the change you wish to be the change you wish to see, Braveheart, you have to understand you take life one step at a time.
Dr. Wolf, as many people will have seen, is very direct and straight and will take you to the edge of the cliff, as he says, and then pull you back just in time.
Never lose your focus. Never lose your dream, because you are the dream maker. It's called image, but guess what? It's your imagination. The image that you hold creates the thought that you live with. That thought creates an emotion that creates a frequency, and we know that the invisible creates the physical. I mean, that's quite obvious. So be the power that you seek, and understand something, that all your thoughts matter. And guess what? Unless you're willing to take a look at those thoughts and retrain your brain, change your personality, you'll never change your reality, and your reality could become infinite.
He's a wealth of information, and I love it.
You were created by your creator to create. So let's create something amazing together.
I found Dr. Wolf and I went, wow, here's a truth speaker. And he spoke to my soul and he spoke truth.
So tell me what you think of the destination that I came up with my imagination to hold the whole life coach certification for you. Understand something. It's all about beauty. It's all about adventure. It's all about stimulating the mind, okay? And understanding that your mind is unlimited. And that is what the Whole Life Coach certification is all about. In the Whole Life Coach certification, we are going to go deeper. We have people coming to us, professionals coming to us, from doctors to nurses to accountants to oil riggers to mothers that want to expand their life. And when they come here, they go, I need to learn to help my family, or I want to improve my business. But guess what? We get into their business. When they leave, they become the change that they wish to see, that they wish to be. They become the gift to the world, because when you can stay in the present, and you can't do that until you have unconditional love and care for yourself. And I'll tell you something right now. I have hardly even found 1 out of 1,000 practitioners or even so-called whole life coaches that can hold the present moment and own it and then give it as a gift. And this is what I'm going to give to you. And when you come here, this is where you're going to come into this room when you need to find alignment, you need to find balance, and you need to get back into your lion heart breath, because we're going to go deep into your heart and we're going to become the spark that you seek.
And actually what I really love about Dr. Wolf's teachings is that unconditional love is literally it. And then you're like, how can it be that easy? That's just silly. So, but it's really not.
Come play, come stay, come train with us today. Understand something. I know we have fear, but understand, that's just false evidence appearing real. I get it. Stick your toe in, feel the water, but then I want you to dive right in, because
How I found my Braveheart was through Daryl. He really teaches you to go within and go in through your heart and not your mind, because your heart's a lot more connected to so much more than your mind. Your mind is just so conditioned and your heart is just so open and beautiful.
you're the answer that you've been looking for. Let me teach you how to fly. What does that mean? First, love yourself, Braveheart. Let's take life in and win.
I had just lost my husband a couple of years ago. With his passing, he gave me the greatest gift to love myself. But Dr. Wolf gave me the greatest gift in understanding that.
I had a dream 3 years ago that I would live in Mexico and I would have this training center, this teaching center, this treatment center that would touch the world. Your dreams are never too big. And when they start to create a little bit of anxiety, turn them into excitement. And get excited, because this is your life.
He's the first person, doctor, that I have encountered that has truly given me the truth. And not just half-truths, but the full truth. So it's been revolutionary for me in my healing process.
And this, my friend, when you take on the dream of all dreams and you realize that if you stay connected to your breath, that you can have it all. Do not let anybody take your breath away. Do not let anybody steal your dream, okay? Listen, God gave you imagination. This is your sandbox of life. Take your life back. Right now, we are teaching courses to people that have come from all over the world, and the government is saying you can't travel, you can't breathe, you can't have this, you can't come together. Yes, we will. And we will do it with unconditional love for each other. And we will learn to grow. We will not judge each other. We'll observe and see where we can support each other. But at the same time, we will hold the Braveheart line, because this is the only way that we can grow. So find your roar, because you're so much more. And learn this. You are the unconditional love that you've been looking for. You are the dream maker. I can't wait to see you. We want to become that small piece of the puzzle that brings your dream together. Thank you. Let me ask you a question. What do you think it would take to turn your life around? I can tell you right now, I learned that a long time ago, what the key was. And anybody that has been able to perfect the perfect day on an emotional, physical, and spirit level knows this. The answer is massive, personal action. That's what it's going to take for you to turn your life around. And to turn your life around, you're going to have to go within if you want to change without. And that's the bottom line. And you know, people think that they can do it like with a consultation, or maybe they can do it with a telephone call, or a Band-Aid, or a 911 emergency, a treatment. But understand, that's not the way it is. The day that you realize that when you master your mind is the only time you're going to master your body. Forget your life. That's always going to be just random luck until you know that you must become the master of your day. From the moment you rise until you gently close your eyes, you must be the only authority for you. And if you think that getting an hour consultation is going to do it, it's not. If you think that going for therapy is going to do it, it's not. You have to submerge yourself into what we would call the personal treatment and training. And you need to do that from anywhere from 6 days to 10 days, or you need to come for my whole life coach certification, because if you don't go in deep, you'll never make changes. They say it takes 10,000 times for you to repeat something before it becomes a prominent, dominant thought. And if you understood that 70 to 90% of all your thoughts are not yours, and they say that 70% of your thoughts are toxic, tell me they're not. Take a look at the majority of the population. 92% of the population has an autoimmune disease, which means the body is attacking itself. Before that, though, the person was attacking themselves on a subconscious, unconscious level. And that, my friend, is the bottom line, and why you must take a personal treatment and training and go deep and understand how to run your life. What that means is learning how to think, how to drink, how to eat, and knowing when somebody is mistreating you, when someone is disrespecting you, because until you honor and respect yourself, no one else is going to do it. So understand, this is your life. If you want to live your passion and purpose, then you must become the master of your mind to become the master of your body, so that you can become the light for your family. So please, consider this. You've got the time and you've got the money, because you're going to change the rest of your life for the rest of your life, and that's my guarantee to you.